Peace, 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 peace. This is just Sister Roo, Mawulisatemple, beautiful upstate New York. And you are here with us on a Saturday UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo. We are in the building. We are excited to be here. And listen, I don't know who's in charge of the thermostat, but somebody turn the thermostat off and turn the water off because we need some sunshine and it need to be stable. But anyway, we are here with books because we know, we love a rainy day for some books. So we'll take it any way we can get it. Nick, hey, man, been a long week, been a cold, chilly week. But you know what? We are here and I'm so excited. And we make the sunshine come out anyway when we talk about books. So how are you this week, Mr. Wes Brooks?
Oh, I am great. I am wonderful. I am glad to be back. We've been gone for a couple weeks. So I just had that itch to get back and talk about books again. So I'm just happy and excited to be back with you all to hang out and have fun like we always do, because we always have fun when we talk about books. And this is the last Saturday in the month of May. It's already June, about to be June already. So the time is moving quickly. We're already at the halfway point in the year. So yeah, time is moving quickly.
I tell you, I can't even believe it. It's just like, it's like 1 minute you're here, 1 minute it's like, what is going on? And the fact that the sun is not shining a lot is really not helping. You know what I'm saying? It's just like one long great day. But again, we are happy to be here. We happy to be here talking about books. Like Nick said, we've been away for a couple of weeks. Hey, listen, we missed you guys. But in the course of this time, we done picked up some more books. So don't worry about it. It'll be worth it in the end. But today it's a surprise me week. This is a surprise me week. So excuse me, guys, my allergies are really doing the thing. But it's a surprise me week. And so Nick and I don't know what each of us have, but we are bringing something, and I'm sure that they'll both be interesting. Initially I had planned to bring my book, this particular book that I'm bringing today. I wanted to bring it earlier in the month of May because it would fall into Taurus season, hint hint. But it's already Gemini season, so we're gonna rock with it anyway. So Nick, I don't know about you, I'm excited to share mine, but I am willing, because I've been waiting for you, I am willing to let you go first and tell us about your surprise me book this week.
Oh yeah, I'm excited too. This one's going to be a fun one, and it's going to be a very interesting one too. I mean, all of them are interesting, but this one, I think you and the people are going to get a kick out of this one.
Okay.
So just to give the backdrop of this book is one that I read maybe about 7 or 8 years ago. So this is one that I've already read, and it's up for a reread, one that I definitely want to revisit, and I definitely recommend people to check out. It's and the way I came across this book is I was doing a little book club thing with a friend of mine, and it's a book that she came across. So shout out to Latoya. Shout out to Latoya for recommending this book back in 2017 and 2018. So we read it together in a book club type of scenario, and we discussed it as we went along, and we both thoroughly enjoyed it. And that's the reason why I'm bringing it back to the forefront and have plans on revisiting it. And it is a book that is touching on a discipline that I don't think we've talked about or brought books for in the year and a half that we've been doing UnRead. So I'm pretty sure this is a new discipline or a different discipline that we haven't brought before. It falls under the nonfiction genre, and that discipline is psychology. So this is a psychology book that I'm bringing and offering for this episode. And it's a psychology book written by a psychologist, and it uses psychological terminology, but is written in a way that is accessible and to the layperson, and is written in a fun and entertaining way in which you will learn, but also be entertained at the same time. So my offering for this episode 27 of UnRead Book Review is this one is called Emotional Vampires. Dealing with People Who Drain You Dry by Albert J. Bernstein, PhD. Emotional Vampires. And it's published by McGraw-Hill. This is the second edition of the book. First edition was published in 2001. Second edition published in 2012. It has 28 chapters, about 250 pages. And since I read it as a part of a book club, I read it more closely than I would most books. There's copious annotations and notes in here. And just to introduce this book, I need to read this in one of those movie trailer, movie preview type of voices. The way that Dr. Bernstein sets this up, and I call it. I said it's psychology, but on the back cover it's labeled as self-help. So I would say it's self-help / psychology. But let me adjust my voice for this one. Drive a stake through the heart of the emotional vampires in your life. Emotional vampires. They may lurk in your office, your home, or online. They may be among your family, your circle of friends, and your coworkers. Perhaps they even share your bed. Right. Bright, talented, and charismatic. They win your trust, your confidence, and your affection, then drain you of your emotional energy. Dr. Albert J. Bernstein, best-selling author and emotional vampire slayer, reveals the secrets that will protect you from these creatures of darkness. Detailing a whole range of disordered personality types, Bernstein shows you how to spot the vampires in your life and equips you with a range of defense strategies that are guaranteed to keep the bloodsuckers from draining you dry. Highly practical and laden with humor, this refreshed second edition will teach you how to identify an emotional vampire, antisocial, obsessive compulsive, histrionic, narcissistic, or paranoid before you get bitten and deal with his or her specific personality type. Use an arsenal of techniques to avoid bad relationships and rehabilitate those that can be brought back from the dead. Negotiate that unique and tricky situation when the emotional vampire is a spouse, partner, or child. With emotional vampires, you will be well armed to handle the most draining people in your life without shedding a single drop of blood. And some information about the author. Albert J. Bernstein, PhD, is the best-selling author of Dinosaur Brains, Neanderthals at Work, and Sacred Bull. He's a clinical psychologist, speaker, columnist, and business consultant. And also, wait a minute, going to the additional information about him. So he lives in Portland, I believe. Yes. Okay. Yep. He lives in Portland, Oregon, with his wife, and his wife is a psychologist also. And their grown children and their granddaughter also live in Portland. And he's the author of a number of books on psychology and business. And he has a website, albernstein.com, where you can learn more about him and his work. So the way that this book is set up, like I mentioned, it has 28 chapters. It starts out by introducing the emotional vampires. And this is where you see the edutainment come in. He uses the vampire metaphor as a way to draw the reader in, engage the reader, entertain the reader while educating them on these types of personality disorders. And he has very creative and clever names for the personality disorders and these types of personalities. And he starts out in the first chapter by giving the overview of the emotional vampires and the 5 personality disorder types. So he gives an introduction, a brief description of each of those. And then in each chapter, he goes into detail and he elaborates on each of these personality disorder types. And he uses, and rather than using a bunch of psychological jargon, he uses scenarios to illustrate the behavior of these emotional vampires. So along with giving you the descriptions of how to spot or recognize these personality disorder types, he also provides tips on how to deal with these individuals. And there's also specific types within the 5 personality disorders. So there's specific types of histrionics, specific types of obsessive compulsive. So he goes into details about those. So just to give a overview of the 5 personality types, I'm actually going to go to the conclusion. So after he goes over and elaborates on all of the disorder types and how to deal with them and how to recognize them, his last chapter, chapter 28, is called Sunrise at Dracula's Castle, which is a summary of the emotional vampires and some closing words on how to move, how to operate, how to maneuver these relationships and these energies. But just to give you a brief overview of what each personality disorder type is, I'll read from this summary, this conclusion here. Antisocials are addicted to excitement. They draw you in with devilish charm and the promise of thrills in the dark. You'll be drained if you expect them to remember their promises in the morning. Histrionics live for attention. They beguile you with their stunning performances, but when the curtain falls, they fall apart. Between shows, you'll have to put them back together. Narcissists think they're God's gift to the world. They'll tell you you're as special as they are, but as soon as they get what they want, they'll hardly remember your name until the next time they need something. Obsessive compulsives seem too good to be true. They strive for perfection by working hard, playing by the rules, and attempting to control everything within a 10-mile radius, including you. Paranoids prowl the night, searching for answers that are simple and true. Their certainty is so reassuring until they start having questions about you. So those are the 5 types. And just to give you an example of the scenarios and the tools that Dr. Bernstein gives you to recognize and point out these emotional vampires, I will go to the first section and just deal with the narcissistic, the antisocial, which he deems or he refers to as the daredevils. So I'll share a little bit of that. What page number did I write down? Okay, I wrote down 23 for the checklist and 31 for how to protect yourself. So I want to make sure I close out by sharing those. But I want to read one of the scenarios here. Which one? Did I want to read the one about Brenda? No, I wanted to read the one about VJ and did I write that page number down? All right, well, we got the Daredevil ex-husband. I could read that one. But where's the one? Because the Daredevil is the one that's craves that excitement, addicted to the excitement, and they're fun to be around, but once you need them to be serious about something, they're unreliable and not dependable. So I wanted to give an example of that. And then also, if you allow the Daredevil to pull you too far in, they'll have you engaging in irresponsible behavior and activity too. So the Daredevil hypnosis, here we go. I'm going to read this section here just to give you a little sample of how he creates these scenarios to illustrate in these lay people's terms so anyone can understand these personality disorders. Chemical or behavioral, at whatever level you think about their style, daredevils offer a wild ride that pulls you out of your workaday world and into their alternative reality of fun and adventure. Without even trying, they are superb hypnotists. The alternative reality they offer is enticing, all fun, and no responsibility. It always starts small. Now, let me get to the scenario here. The role play. Yo, VJ, Vampire Brian here with the ski report. 21 new inches of powder last night, with more falling as we speak. If we drive up tonight, we can beat the crowds to the lifts in the morning. Brian, tomorrow's Friday. I'm working. How did you manage to get the day off? Suddenly, Brian's voice sounds weak and raspy, as if he had to struggle to draw a breath. I've got that flu that's going around. It's really hit me hard. I tried to get out of bed this morning, but I just can't seem to. Brian's voice fades into a weak cough. Geez, you really do sound sick. How are you doing that? Brian answers in the same faltering voice. It's simple. Just lie down and blow most of the air out of your lungs. It makes you sound like you're about to die. Try it. VJ leans back in his chair and tries to imitate Brian's sickly voice. I have a bad case of the flu. Really lame, VJ. How's this? Do I sound sick enough now? VJ chokes out the words. Right on the money. Brian's laughter turns into a fit of ersatz coughing that ends in the wheezing gasp. Daredevils are great at spotting people who could use a little fun, especially fun that involves rebellion against authority. As hypnotists, they speak to the teenager inside us and describe all the wonderful possibilities that life holds if we're just willing to take a risk. The bind they put us in is a dare, simple and effective. Do it or kiss the opportunity goodbye and admit that you didn't have the guts. There's nothing wrong with calling in sick to go skiing if you do it only once in a while. The problem with daredevils is that they don't know when to stop. They have a real gift for pulling other people along further than they wanted to go. So that's an example of the daredevil. And he also breaks it down into male and female. He gives you the male version of the daredevil. He also gives you the female version of the daredevil. And he does the same thing with the other 4 personality disorders. And the other thing that I wanted to touch on that he does in this chapter is he gives you a checklist. Oh, also let me show you the illustration. He also has illustrations in the book too, of what of what these daredevils might look like, or what these different characters might look like. So the vampire daredevil right there, that's him. Let me show you another illustration before I go to the checklist. Okay, this is this is what he has for the histrionic type. So he has these fun little cartoons and illustrations of what the people look like. Let me show you the narcissist. There go the narcissist with his cigar, sitting in his easy chair. So the checklist for each personality disorder type, he has a true or false checklist. So you can go down the list here and answer true or false to the questions. And for specifically for the antisocial type, if 5 or more true answers qualify. No, it says 5 or more true answers qualify the person as antisocial emotional vampire, although not necessarily for a diagnosis of antisocial personality disorder. If the person scores higher than 10, hold on to your wallet and your heart. So let me read a couple of these true or false statements here, just so you can get an idea of what this author is suggesting that you look for. Number 1, the person believes that rules were made to be broken. Number 4, this person regularly engages in dangerous activities for their thrill value. Number 10, this person seldom worries. Number 11, this person actually believes that some problems can be settled with a fist fight. Let's see. Number 13, this person justifies doing bad things to people because others would do them too if they had the chance. Number 19, this person regularly makes promises that he or she doesn't keep. So those are just some of the examples of statements that the reader of this book can answer true or false to if they're thinking about a specific person in their lives or that they know, to determine whether they are antisocial emotional vampire. And then he ends off every chapter with, or each, well, not every chapter, but each section, each emotional vampire section with ways that you can protect yourself. So still dealing with the daredevil section, the antisocial. He offers 10 ways to protect yourself from daredevil. So I'll just read off the titles. I won't read the details of each, just to save time. And then I will land my plane after I share these tips to protect yourself. Number 1, know them, know their history, and know your goal. Number 2, get outside verification. Number 3, do what they don't. 4, pay attention to actions, not words. 5, identify hypnotic strategies. 6, pick your battles. 7, let contingencies do the work. 8, choose your words as carefully as you pick your battles. 9, ignore tantrums. And 10, know your own limits. And like I said, he goes into details about what each of those 10 tips mean and what they actually look like. And I gave you the antisocial emotional vampire as the highlight, the example of what he does with each of the emotional vampire types. And like I mentioned, there are specific types within each personality disorder. And he also breaks it down into male and female. And so yeah, that's Emotional Vampires in a nutshell. Again, the full title is Emotional Vampires: Dealing with People Who Drain You Dry by Albert James Bernstein, PhD. And that is my offering for this episode.
Where shall I begin? First, let me just say, for all those watching, please excuse my outburst of laughter, but we did not know, I'm talking about you and we, did not know that Professor Westbrooks was going to give us an interpretation. You've missed your calling. I think acting is someplace you need to, maybe that just goes with that whole English professor thing, the acting and the English professor just goes together. But, oh, your voices for your reading, loved it. It sounds like a fascinating book. And, is so timely. I think that many people could relate to all of the personalities that you've mentioned in in the book, and definitely be able to go in and take a look at some of these things with levity and be able to examine the environment that they're in with the people in their lives, even their family, their work life, whatever. So it definitely seems like an amazing offering. I have to ask, when you got finished this book, can you say that you saw yourself in any of these personalities?
Oh, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not at all. Not even close. Thankfully.
But now, could you recognize some of those people in your life though?
Maybe not so much in my immediate circle. Like he's discussing people that are in your inner circle, really close, like you mentioned, partners, children, co-workers. So not so much in my immediate relationships, but definitely people that I've observed from a distance. Yes.
I tell you, I don't know. I was listening. I was like, sounds kind of familiar. I love that though. That. It reminded me of when I brought Planets at Play.
Yes,
it kind of reminded me of that type of energy, the way that he set the book up. And I love that because it is a very heavy topic. And most times when you find books on emotional vampires and energy, kind of stuff between people, is very heavy, is very emotional, and sometimes I think that the layperson can kind of get lost in it. But clearly that offering there offers some comedy and some heavy facts at the same time. So I think it's just a beautiful offering. May I ask what led your group to pick that book?
It was well, I just pretty much went for the ride. I'm saying, whatever you pick, I'm good with. This was our second book. Our first one was The 5 Love Languages, and I believe this was the second one. And yeah, she just she came across it. Maybe she came across it in Barnes and Noble or something like that, and the title just struck her. And I think she was going through a situation at that time in which she was dealing with an emotional vampire. So I'm pretty sure that's, well, actually, no, this might have been before that, or it might have been another emotional vampire she was dealing with. But yeah, I think it was more so her choice and what really grabbed her attention and stood out to her, and I just went with it because I've this was during a time where, and this is I'm giving you some insight into my reading background. Around 2017 and 2018, I made a conscious decision to expand my reading type in terms of the genres and topics and disciplines that I read. For a while, I was very limited to, you know, history and maybe like a religion and Black studies and maybe novels. You know, since I was into literature and English, I was like, you know what? Let me expand a little bit and open myself up to some other types of books. And
Beautiful.
that was part of my openness. The reason why I was so open to picking up this book was I was making a conscious decision to expand my horizons in regards to the types of books that I read.
Wonderful. I love to hear that. I love to hear that. And I'll say that you know the reason I asked about what made her pick the book or what made you collectively pick the book is because a lot of times we pick books kind of mirroring the things that we've gone through. And I definitely could see a transition from the love languages to that book there, the emotional vampirism, because love languages, when for all of those guys who are watching or who will be watching the 5 love languages, which they have them for couples, spouses, siblings, children, all these different things. But those places kind of talk about the way that people give and receive love. And I can definitely see that emotional vampirism, things like manipulation, et cetera, finding their way into that space. So it almost seems like a natural progression. So very intuitive of her, to pick that one next. It sounds like you guys had a great trajectory in which you were going, and it's fantastic that you open your horizon to other kinds of books, because trust is just a wonderful world out there. There's a wonderful world of books out there, and I love that you picked this one for a reread. Great selection. Great selection and great reading. Acting, I loved it. This will probably be one of my favorite episodes because I could not control my laughing. So for all those again, you guys know how I am, and a good laugh that was a good chuckle. That was a good chuckle. So thank you.
My pleasure.
Unless you have anything else you want to add about that, I'll get started with mine, because we always talk about the connection between our books and things like that, and this one may seem a little far reaching, but is definitely I see a connection.
Okay, yeah.
But,
I'll just say, yep. The only thing I'll just say in response to my reading is that it was only right that I did it because I had to do justice to the vibe and the tone that the author is taking. So in order for you to really feel it, I had to bring it.
Oh, you brought it. It was brought. It was brought. I love it. I love it. I love it. I don't even know how you kept a straight face. You was definitely in character. I love that. I love that for us. I love that. Again, everyone, this is UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo, where we talk about our unread books, rereads, great finds. We interview different authors with brand new books coming out. If you have any authors that are listening, you want to share your books on our platform, get in touch with us. We'll be glad to bring you on. We thank you guys who are back again. We thank you first-time viewers. Lock us in so you don't miss any of these great episodes and opportunities that we are taking to share these books and in our little commentary on it. And every once in a while, get a really good laugh. So Nick's book, fantastic. You kind of labeled it under psychology and you said there on the back they listed it as self-help. Well, my offering, like I said, this week I was going to offer earlier up in May in Taurus season. And Taurus, we talk about things like beauty, possession, money, and I was coming from the money space. So that is definitely self-help. And this book actually would be considered commercial psychology. So even in that way, I see that tiny little far-reaching tie, but I love to get started because this is a red collector's edition of a book. Okay. So when we go into this, we go into it with gentle care as a reference book, and definitely I use it as a reread every once in a while when I need a reminder of the good old days. So I'll get started. Social media is the way everybody promotes everything nowadays. If you have a business, you are most likely online. You are doing your marketing and advertising online. So you are finding different ways to connect with the people. So this is considered commercial psychology, different ways to get people's attention and draw them to your particular work and your particular product or project that you're offering. So before these fancy computers, normal people, regular old folks, we just used books, and we took bunches of classes and bunches of courses. Anytime a new book came out, we were running to the bookstore trying to figure out how to grow our business from the so-called gurus that had made it to where we were trying to go. And in 1996, there was how long ago was that? Oh, just saying it out loud make me feel antique, y'all. But in 1996, when I first started my consulting business, I was consulting small businesses on health and wellness and education and even homeschooling. And I was looking for ways to market myself. And so I'm watching, whatever I can get my hands on. I'm at the library as much as I can. But I heard about a book signing going on at the mall. And so I had to take the bus up the Woodbridge. Hey, shout out to the New Jersey Transit. Took me up to Woodbridge Mall and to the bookstore. And that's where I found this book here. Okay. So this is 7-Second Marketing by Ivan R. Misner, PhD. And as you can see, it is an autographed copy. I have a sticker letting it be known. It says how to use memory hooks to make you instantly stand out in a crowd. So needless to say, right there in the title, it lets you know what we're going to do. Let's take a look at that fresh autograph there. Look at that.
Nice, that's clean right there.
Woo! Is it since 1996, boy? Let me let you know.
Brand new.
Listen, and this is Mr. Misner.
Okay.
Okay. And this 7-Second Marketing book, it reminds me a lot of what of the things that we do now, that we hire these marketing consultants and social media people to do for us online in terms of getting attention. So he set this book up into 3 sections. Part 1 is getting the people's attention. Part 2 are the memory hook themes. Part 3 is hands-on tools to help you create and share your own memory hook. Now, this is what people are using Chat GPT and all that
Yeah.
stuff for now. And they wouldn't even be bothered with something like this. But I find that one of the reasons you keep books like this around is because they show you there's nothing new under the sun. So let me just tell you a little bit about what it says here. It says, business introductions that make a memorable impression. That's what 7-second marketing is all about. For business people and professionals, 7-second marketing shows you how to take that important first step to success by making a strong, lasting impression, to use expertise, imagination, and humor to highlight your business, to draw from more than 225 proven memory hooks that people in business and professionals around the country use to create their own memory hook, and using your own memory hook on your letterhead, business card, yellow pages, brochures, advertisements, and the internet, because the internet was just coming into play, but it was mostly for businesses that already had scaled to the point to be able to make those kind of numbers to pay for advertising spaces and things like that. It says, as Dr. Misner showed in his previous bestseller, The World's Best Known Marketing Secrets, Building Your Business with Word of Mouth Marketing, the most effective way to market your service or product is by word of mouth. And the key of word of mouth is marketing. So I love this book. It's really, really simple. It's set up super simple. And one of the things that I love to go back in here and take a look at are the actual hooks. So getting the attention, we know about like first time impressions, things like that. And I found it when comparing it to the way people launch their businesses on the internet, it didn't have a whole lot to offer. And it says, it's just letting you know that things change so rapidly and so quickly that you have to be able to find things to get ahead of the curve. And so that's why he recommends making these lists and taking these known hooks and using them to make them your own. And he talks about meeting in groups. And that's something, now everybody does online with these mastermind classes and things like that. So again, this book is just a reminder of how things used to be done and to how we've moved to where we are now, but still doing the same thing, just in a different way. This part here in making the memory hook, it talks about making people laugh. And it says, making people laugh is one of the fastest ways to break down the barriers between strangers and winning the prospects of goodwill. And then, it gives like little hooks that people can use in their business. For example, an electrician, they say, we can say something like, we check your shorts. Now, that's a little cheeky.
Yeah.
And it's a little corny for today, but you have to think back when, people weren't being bombarded by commercials and things all day, every day. Something like that was catchy.
Right.
Okay. Because a lot of the things that we remember now, for those of us who are older, who grew up with a lot of commercials, it's those little hooks that we remember. I'm stuck on Band-Aids because Band-Aids stick on me. You know what I mean? Little things like that. That was one of my favorites too. Let's see. It had a suggestion for a dentist. Be true to your teeth or they will be false to you. And then one more, it says a company that does carpet or changes carpet says, we're dying to save you money. So little things like that. Some of them were chuckle ha-has, and some right on the nose, and some just straight up corny. But nonetheless, it was a way for people to get their names for their companies out here. They have some in here. They have people who contributed to the book that have taken these that master classes back then. Different companies like financial services, mortgage lenders, air and heat specialists, optometrists, lawyers, all these people who shared some of their hooks with people that have worked for them. So, for example, a trust fund company just use something as simple as trust me, where it said, where a graphics and screen print company said, let us help you show you your true colors. So they were playing on the business areas and some of the work that they actually do. So it's really, really nice to see some of these old techniques that were being used and compared to how we're doing today. And I'll be honest with you, every once in a while, if you go through, because things are about making things your own, you might find something in here that you like and be able to word it in a way that fits your company. So I tell people like this, don't just throw old books out, because you might find something in it that you can use, because again, there's nothing new under the sun. So this one I thought about when I thought about you, Nick. This one was for a forensic accountant, right? Okay. But it says the two hooks that worked the best for him were, we look beyond the numbers. Right? Mr. Numerology, right? Yeah. And then it says the next one, we do numbers so you don't have to. You know what I mean? So something like that, you could take it and repurpose it in a way. And that was what this book was really about, letting you know that you can create your own hooks. And that was what he does in part 3. After the show us your own, in part 3, he shows you how to create your own. And even though this book looks really, really thick, it's not that full because of the tight print that they use. Yes. The tight print that they use is not really that dense. But in the back there, it does give you a little space and recommends that you get a notebook and you create your own hooks.
Nice. Okay. Got some workbooks.
Right. In the form of like a workbook. Right. Exactly. So, again, this is just a collector's item for me. It's a reread. It's a reference. It's a keep on the shelf. A reminder of back in the day. Again, simple book. Not a whole lot to say, but that you will always have to be able to sell yourself and reinvent yourself and market yourself. And tools like this and the ones we have today, I think, especially since we're moving towards such automated things now, people don't think of clever things for themselves. You know what I'm saying? To say about their companies, they leave it to AI to create a catchy hook for them when nobody knows your business like you do. The algorithm may know what's going to get the hits, but if you really talking authenticity, creating your own hooks is still where it's at. So 7-second marketing, Misner, autograph copy, in great condition, keeping it on the shelf. Pristine for the day when it's worth a little bit of change, and then we'll market it for real.
Use some of those techniques he has in there. So that's great, and that is one of the cornerstones of business. One of the most important things from my experience working with an entrepreneur, working with a business, is the marketing thing. And it's also been a pain point for us too, over time, over the past 5 or 6 years. The marketing has either helped us astronomically or caused us to struggle a bit when it comes to attracting business and clients and revenues and things like that. So marketing is very important when it comes to business. That's how you get in front of people. That's how you get people to come to you is through the marketing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Absolutely. And I can just say this, if you can imagine, if you take a look at how hard it is now to do marketing, imagine doing flyers and business cards and yellow pages.
Yeah.
Yellow pages only came out once a year, or if you were in a really busy area, twice a year. And depending on how much money you had in your budget, you could end up with one little line like this, or a quarter page, half a page, quarter page, half a page, 3/4 a page. I remember because I've taken out ads in yellow pages. But the likelihood of somebody sitting down and saying, oh, well, let me see what new things are in the yellow pages. They didn't think about the yellow pages until they needed somebody in that area of whatever it was. Oh, you had a pipe break. Now you need a plumber. Before then, you weren't going in and just looking, hey, let me see if any new plumbers put ads in. But with the internet today, whether you want to see it or not, if somebody pays to pop up on the scroll, get up in that algorithm, you'll see it, and then you'll think about it. I always been wanting to get that bathroom fixed. It works in the opposite way almost, because they put it in your face so much that now you start to create places where you can use the services that are being offered, where before the people really had to sell the service to you. And I really appreciate this book and books like it when I was first starting my business, because that was an area for me that even is still a challenge, because all of this part of it, I don't want to do this part. I just want to do what I do. All the marketing and fancy hooks and commercials and all. I just want to do what I do. I just want to do what I do. And these kind of books made it really, really easy for people. It was almost for dummies books before they were for dummies books, like, hey, this is something simple. Sit down, open yourself. You can use your humor, your natural personality to come up with something to, promote your business and draw in continuous, new customers and new clients. So
Yep, for sure. Now, I just had two questions about this book. The first one is about the title. So the 7 second marketing is that the 7 seconds, is that the amount of time it takes to grab someone's attention with an advertisement or a hook? Like what is the 7 seconds about?
Great question. So how they say everybody should have an elevator pitch? This is a pre-elevator pitch. So this is something you can put, like I said, on a business card, on a bumper sticker. People don't use a lot of bumper stickers anymore, but on a bumper sticker, on on a t-shirt, on the brim of a cap, and these, or an ink pen. These were little tiny quick phrases that it just took a second to look at and read, versus this is my elevator pitch, this is what I'm trying to do, da 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 da. So I would say it's a pre-elevator pitch, just to get people's attention and let them see, hey, I'm over here. So yeah, it's supposed to be short and concise.
Okay, so like the ones that you shared about the Band-Aids and the other ones. Okay, okay. So
Right.
in other words, people should be able to see it and read it in 7 seconds or less.
Right. You know,
Okay.
one of my old favorite ones, it was a commercial on best part of waking up, Folgers in your cup.
I remember that one.
You
Too.
know, that
Yep.
I mean, short, simple, you know, doesn't take that long, and
Yeah.
it's memorable.
Yep. Yep. And if you want to add because Folgers did this too. They added a little razzle dazzle because they had the TV commercial. So if you were on the TV and the radio, you could turn it into a jingle and put some music behind it too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that's what those things did. You used them in different ways, you know, and that's why they encouraged you to write your own, because you could adjust it in different ways for different places for advertising.
Yep, yep. Now, before I ask you the second question, now since I did got into character and did the reading for Emotional Vampires, would it be customary for me to sing that jingle at this time?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, all right. I gotta think about which one I'm gonna go with. I might go with my own version. I don't know. It's been so long. Let me see what I can come up with. Hold on. Let me get a drink.
Oh yeah, we definitely need drink for that. Oh.
The best part of waking up is Folgers in your cup.
This is not a commercial for Folgers. We are not promoting Folgers. We have not promoted anyone. Oh my goodness, I love it. But yes, and you know, it's so interesting because just hearing those words, right?
Mm-hmm.
For me, it triggers a memory of the actual commercial. I can see the lady laying in her bed. I can see her smelling the coffee. I can see the sister running down the stairs, the son home from the military. They hugging, they got coffee. You know, look at that. That commercial is so old, but it's so vivid because that little hook it worked.
Yeah,
You
it
know,
did.
it worked its way into your psychology. That's, you
Yeah.
know, commercial psychology. For those of you looking for a old school, new school version of a great job, commercial psychology is everything. Why do they put the woman in the red dress? Why do they, you know, make the frost come off of the cup a certain way? Which
Mm-hmm.
angle to turn the food to? Like, it's an amazing area of expertise to be proficient in. So shout
Yep.
out to all the people who do that for a living. And
Yep.
if you ever just need to promote somebody, me and Nick are always looking for ways to promote all the wonderful things that we do. Thank you very much in advance.
Yep. Yep. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
And
And
as you see, Nick will sing all of our jingles. So all you gotta do is bring them my way. Maybe we should get our audience to give us some jingles for UnRead. You already wrote us a poem, which if you guys missed the poem that Mr. Westbrooks wrote for us during Poetry Appreciation Time, oh, please go
last
back
month.
and take a look at that and some of our other episodes. I promise you, you'll always find something to make you have a good time. But yes, Nick will sing all of our jingles for us because that was amazing.
Yeah, it might have been the last episode. I mean, I know it was last month, so it might have been the last
It was
episode, maybe
April, yes. It was definitely April,
episodes before. But
yes,
yeah,
yes.
but yeah, so the phrases, the jingles are catchy and memorable, and then also it's the repetition too. Like you're gonna see it like 5 or 10 times, during the day or throughout the week. So that's the other way that you remember. Like, how
Yes.
did I remember that's how the tune goes? And I ain't seen that commercial in probably like two decades.
I know. I don't even know if they still make commercials like that anymore, but I remember that one specifically. And the thing was, look, you talk about diversity and the way they use something more than one way. When it was time for Christmas or time for Mother's Day or something, they would switch that same commercial around and use it again,
Yep.
to promote whatever holiday it was. And so now when the mother comes downstairs, it's a Christmas tree in the background, and the son is standing there in front of the Christmas tree with the coffee versus in the kitchen with the coffee. So, definitely, old school marketing, man, like marketing, advertising, wonderful, wonderful things to study and apply, and I know that I definitely can do better in that space. And so books like this and all the things that they got going on now, I definitely pay attention to, because it's still one of my challenges. I just want to do what I want to do. I don't feel like advertising nothing.
Yep. And they'll put a little bit of Christmas bells behind the music too, to give you that vibe.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You gotta have some reindeer bells or something.
Yeah, some reindeer bells. Yeah. Now I remember being in elementary school. I don't remember probably around the time or close to the time that these commercials were out that we're talking about. But I remember going on a field trip in elementary school to some type of ad agency or marketing agency where we went to the agency and they showed us some of the secrets behind the advertising and how they market certain products. Like they were showing, one that I really remember was how they, for the cereal commercial, how they told us that they use glue instead of actual milk in the picture to give it that visual appeal to it. And that's just one thing about it. And then years later, when I became an adult and started getting into the metaphysics, which is something else that we have talked about on this show, and of course psychology, and the subliminal. And when we get into our esoteric art, we'll talk about those subliminal messages that they have in the logos and the ads and all those things, and how they influence people to consume certain products and services, especially those that may or may not be the best for us.
Absolutely.
Going, like Roo said, with the red dress, going down to the colors, going down to the font size, not just what the words say, but even the type of font that they use. It gets really intricate and specific the way that they create these logos and these advertisements, and they do this marketing to sink down into your subconscious mind and influence your behavior.
Absolutely.
It's very deep.
Absolutely. Nick, we can go on and tie these books all the way in, but bringing it to the esoteric side of it, let's even talk about where we are now and how they've made everybody consume. And if you think about the old movie, They Live, you know what I mean? Yep. They would show you these advertisements that look like one thing, but it said obey in the background, because the picture says one thing, but the message of the picture is obey. And another message is consume, and another message is, so like this stuff is relevant always. Again, nothing new under the sun. But just in the way they use these things, you know what I'm saying, is something that one would think, watching the progression of it, we would be more aware. But it's because we're so distracted and it comes so quickly and you bombard it so quickly, you don't even realize you being sold something until it's already on the way to your house.
Exactly, exactly. Or you're on the way to the store, or you're
Right.
sitting there, you eating them fries out the bag on the drive home. Yep. But some people never,
Absolutely.
some people never become conscious of it though. They
Yeah.
they go through their entire lives blind and influenced, by these messages.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? And let's not even talk about in the stores product placement, because all the
Yep.
things they put in the front row right by the cash register, all the bright colors, all the small little things, pocket size, the last minute items, magazines with fantastical stories on them,
Yeah.
alien baby born to lizard man, like it, like the
Yeah.
Inquirer was off the hook back in the
Yeah.
day. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And all of these things, those things just jumping out at you, you may not be paying direct attention to it, but your subconscious is constantly taking it in. And that's why little hooks like the one Dr. Misner is talking about in these books, they matter because you don't even realize you picking it up. One of the ones that I think we just gloss over and don't even think about. Hey, Kool-Aid. Two words. Well,
Yeah.
three if you put Kool-Aid, But
Yeah.
hey, Kool-Aid. Everybody hear that? What do they see? They see Kool-Aid pitcher jar busting through something, either a door, a wall, with the pitcher looking all delicious and
Yeah.
cold, and you
Mhm.
sitting there and now you thirsty and you don't know why. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
it's like little things, and that has they still use that one,
Mm-hmm.
and look at how simple the hook is. It's just, hey, Kool-Aid.
That's it.
We are
Yeah.
not selling Kool-Aid. We are not selling Kool-Aid here. We are not endorsing Kool-Aid. So you gotta always do those little, little disclaimers.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. And then,
but seriously, little things like that really do still work. Sometimes the overcomplicated stuff, while I'm sure it works on, because you got these people, these masterminds that put into these things, sometimes little simple stuff work too.
yep.
you know
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
and
Yep.
again, the other thing you said is repetition. How often you getting it out there?
Yep. 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 Indeed. Yep. Because that's how it sinks into your brain, into your mind. That repetition. And it's almost, and it can be something that you don't even like. It's the same thing with music. Like they'll play the new hip song. It's really trash, but they play it so much that you start getting used to it, and you start liking it, or it becomes a little catchy after a while because they done played it 100 times a day. So it's the same thing with the ads and the commercials. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we know music adds an extra level to
Oh yeah.
marketing and advertising.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just the words by themselves is one thing, but then when you add a layer of music to it and a layer of visuals to it, oh, you got them hooked. They in.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We gonna have to have a separate conversation about words and sound as vibration. Yeah,
Absolutely,
yeah, yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Because look at what I just said. You got words, music, visual, hook. You in, and then what did he talk about? Creating your own hooks. How do you do that for your own business?
Right.
You
Yep.
know what words and music and visual can we attach to your business to make it memorable to people?
Yep. Yep.
You know?
Yep. So with that being said, that's an excellent segue into the last question I was going to ask you, because you just finished off by saying what hook can you create for your own business. So my question to you is, How have you, well, I guess you can answer it a 2 or 1 or either or depending on what you remember, but how have you used this book, or do you remember what your hook was that you created for your own business?
Oh man.
Oh, you like that one. You like that one.
Because I'm thinking of some of the hooks that I tried. I tried a couple. Let's see. One of my favorites was, oh my god, it's gonna sound so corny. Oh my god, it's gonna sound so corny.
Listen, I did the acting and I sung. So you gotta give something. You gotta give us something.
So I had a basket business where I would make these little, baskets with, like homemade, lotions and all this. Now, mind you, this was back in the 90s when my children was, my youngest children was small. So I named the business Jamila's Handcrafts, And so one hook I tried was crafted by my hands for yours, because it was hand lotion, and then it says, what was one of them that I used? I said, surprise them with, how did I say it? Surprise them. Oh, this was the corny one.
Okay.
We provide the surprise, you provide the eye.
Hey. Yeah. That's the,
hey yo, let me tell you something. When my mom, who was an accountant, she was all about the Benjamins, right? I remember telling her that when she was like, no, that one not gonna work. She said, you might want to reword that one. She says that one doesn't work. She said, and you keep stumbling over it. And that was her suggestion to me. She said, if it flowed out easy, that was the one. She said, if I kept stumbling, that wasn't the one. And I'll admit it, yeah, she was right there, and I think that I started getting better when I was able to focus in not on the product so much that I was offering, but the holistic aspect of what I was offering. Okay. So, everything that I did was, from, made by hand. So, by being able to let people know the vehicle in which they were getting things were not manufactured in a shop, but by somebody's loving hands, I was able to spin a couple of little different sayings here and there, depending on what the products were. So, so I think I had the most success with my sweet treats.
Okay.
Oh my God, I can't even believe I'm gonna say the name. My banana pudding. Jamila's Slam Bammin' Banana Pudding. Slam Bam. Slam Bam.
Woo!
And it was corny then and it's corny now. But guess what? I sold so much of that damn banana pudding back in the day.
And I bet you would sell a bunch of it now too with that name.
You know what? Hey, listen, it's Slam Jam better than it did back then. It's Slam Jam. But nah, it's it was fun. I'll tell you this. I can sit back and laugh at it now, but it was frustrating then because you really were trying to get your products out there, and it's so many people doing the same things, much like like we are now. You want to
Yeah.
be able to stand out, and that's what he's talking about in this, how to make your stuff instantly stand out in the crowd. Is right there in the title of it, letting
Yep.
your stuff stand out in the crowd. And sometimes it can be challenging, to find something that appeals, to the audience that you're looking for. So I think that's part of it too, really focusing in on who you want your audience to be.
Yep. 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 It's important. Yep. That's definitely
Yeah.
part of building a business, part of marketing. So, yep.
Yep. But if
Absolutely.
anybody wants some slam jam and banana pudding, let me know. And them baskets, I still throw those together too. So
All right.
you know,
There you
every
go. There
once
you
in a
go,
while, every
everybody.
once in a while, every once in a while.
Yep.
No,
There you
but
go.
yeah, but that was fun back in the day. That was the 90s. That was marketing in the 90s. And
Yes.
and
Well,
and again, that book came out in 96. Got it from the mall the day that they were handing out the autographed ones. So I mean, got it fresh off the press, and
mhm.
that was what was being offered as suggestions for marketing back then. So we did the best we could, but now we got Chat GPT and all of these other things, and we have marketing. I mean, we have marketing and advertising gurus, who went to school for this stuff, who really understand it, and you know can really help you get your business out there. So shout out to everybody that do that kind of work.
Indeed. Indeed. So, yeah, I actually thought of one more thing, but this should be a quick question. It's not gonna it's not gonna require you to embarrass yourself again. This is about the book. I thought about this, but I forgot to ask it earlier. But uh, Dr. Misner, what is his background, and what type of business success and marketing success did he have, um if it's mentioned in there?
It talks about his background, obviously in marketing, and he was the former president, the founder and president of the Business Network International of Sandema, California, a networking organization with more than 600 chapters worldwide since its inception in 85. And it says they had over 1.5 million referrals, generating over $500 million for business force participants. And back then, $500 million meant something.
Oh yeah.
Back
Oh
then,
yeah.
$500 million really meant something. But he was kind of self-made, and needed ways to market. And so his first book, The World's Best Known Marketing Secret, is just really a precursor, or should I say this is a part of that book, really, when you look at it. And let me see here. It has a little bit here where it says, um, when he started the Business Network International, it was a way for business people to generate referrals. Because again, what did he mention in the beginning? Word of mouth was everything.
Yep.
And I still stand by that. Word of mouth is everything.
Absolutely.
And it says the best way for people to generate referrals in a structured professional environment. And they were known as the largest referral networking organization of its kind in the world. Um, let's see. The primary purpose of the organization was to pass qualified business referrals to its members. So I know of organizations right now that still do business referral circles and networking circles. So that was where his a lot of his time was spent, in those kind of spaces.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds like a person I would want to take marketing advice from. For
Absolutely,
sure.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
And I mean, I think, just on a final note, when he talked about the word of mouth part, I think that's why networking events are so important. I love going to networking events. As a matter of fact, I think I use everything as a networking event,
As you
in some
should.
kind of way, because I mean, it's not like you go someplace looking to say, oh, I'm going to promote my business. But again, you should always be prepared to represent yourself in what it is you do, because people always ask you what
True.
you do. And
Yep.
so again, that's why that elevator pitch, you know what I'm saying? You may not want to give them that, but when you hand them your pen or you hand them your card, well, back in the day, now you just got a QR code, you let them scan and it take them to your website. But
Mm-hmm.
nonetheless, these little, a t-shirt with your little hook on it, or an ink pen with your hook on it. People used to wear pins and buttons with your hook on it, hats with visors with your hook on it. Always opportunities to let people know what it is you offer. you know
Yep. Yep. For sure. For sure. Absolutely.
yes.
Yep. Did it again. But this one, like you said, this one's going on the greatest hits list.
Yeah, man, for so many reasons.
Yeah.
I can't even believe you had me repeat those horrible hooks from back in the day. But I never said, look, you're our resident poet, apparently, not me. So I didn't expect to come up with too many humdingers. That was
Yeah.
actually, believe it or not, I left doing all that stuff to my brother. And when he finally told me I had to do some stuff for myself, I was like, I don't want to do that part. Pricing things
Yeah.
and marketing, I gave it to him. I was just like, it was just too much. But yeah,
It.
you have to know all of these things. They help you have a well-rounded business. It's good to know how to promote yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yep.
And if you come up with something that's a one-line zinger that lasts forever, like, hey, Kool-Aid, you do it once, you don't have to do it again.
Yep. Yep. And go ahead and trademark that thing.
Hello, let's talk about it.
Yep.
That's a whole
Yep.
nother conversation, y'all. We got books on that. We can recommend some books and resources
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Yep. 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 Yes, we can. Yes, we can.
Yes. Well, I mean, I've had a great time. I love that book. I love that commentary. I love the reading. Like I said, this is a classic episode right here. We might have to put a star next to this one, and just and
Yep.
let people know that we were in raw form in this particular. I don't know what the moon is doing, but we was just cutting up today. So I
Mm-hmm.
don't know. But I am definitely here for it, because it's always fun to talk books with you and to share with our audience, and those who watch this later, some of the beautiful offerings that we have in our library, and hopefully you'll get in yours. And please don't hesitate to share with us some of the things you have in your library. We love to talk about it. Authors, you got some books coming out. Get to us. Let us know. We put you on the platform. Let people know what you have coming out. And again, these are unread, reread books. We are excited to always share them with you. And I thank you for allowing me to share this one with y'all today, and my horrible hooks from back in the day. And with that being said, I'm your sister Roo, man. I'm gonna give it to you, Nick.
All right. All right. Yeah. Thank you. And again, those offerings from this episode: Emotional Vampires, Dealing with People Who Drain You Dry by Albert J. Bernstein. And Bruce offering 7-Second Marketing, How to Use Memory Hooks to Make You Instantly Stand Out in a Crowd by Dr. Ivan R. Misner. Those were our offerings for today. And we will have the description. We'll have the information for how you can get those books in the links below. And we will see you on the next episode of UnRead, which will be our first show for the month of June. month of June. I believe that would be June 14th, if I'm correct. If we're counting the weeks, I mean, we schedule these things, but things happen sometimes. So it'll be
Once in a while.
sometime. It'll be sometime in June. Yeah, yeah. Yep.
Yes.
So just make sure you stay tuned so you don't miss us when we do, put that June episode up. Be there front and center. Come hang out with us, have fun with us, laugh with us, learn something. This is what we do. This is our happy place. This is our paradise on earth right here.
All right. Yes, it is.
Yep. So we thank you. We thank you for tuning in to the sights and sounds of UnRead Book Review with Nick and Roo. And join us in our next episode. Until then, take care, be well, and continue striving to be the best version of yourself. Peace.